Welcome to Inside ArtScroll, where the books that we read and the people that write them come to life. It's a pleasure to welcome yet again to ArtScroll Studios, Rabbi David Sutton. Shalom Aleichem, and thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you.
Rabbi Sutton, it's so exciting to see that you are entering into the realm of people who wrote Haggadahs. The single most published sefer is the Haggadah.
I hate to correct you.
Go ahead.
But I have Haggadah.
You already have one?
Yes.
Oh my
it's
gosh.
called the Sephardic Heritage Haggadah, co-authored with Rabbi Eli Mansour, close to 20 years ago.
Okay, I'm not totally out of it.
You were still a kid then,
Okay.
so we won't hold you responsible.
So, but Rabbi Sutton, can I ask you a very crass question?
Yeah.
Why is this Haggadah different than all the other Haggadahs?
Very good. Well, it's all in the name, the Bitachon Haggadah. I don't know if there exists a Bitachon Haggadah. I have to thank Aaron Zlotowitz for that idea. The Bitachon Haggadah. He told me, you got to put out a Bitachon Haggadah. You have Beis Lei Bitachon, you have Sukkei Bitachon. We need a Bitachon Haggadah. I said, okay.
Which is a slam dunk. Isn't that what the Seder is about?
Yes, the Seder is about Bitachon. That's absolutely, that's the goal.
Okay, but in typical Rabbi David Sutton fashion, you were not satisfied with just writing a pirush on the Haggadah. You gave us a task, a mission, to prepare for Pesach. So talk a little bit about how this Haggadah works.
Okay, so I'll tell you where it actually came from. We put out, I think you interviewed me, on the daily dose of preparation for the emunah.
Correct. Great sefer, by the way. Helped me a
Now,
lot.
what's interesting is, ArtScroll doesn't always believe in me. How do I know when that happens? When they print 1,000 or 2,000 copies and say, okay, look, we're putting it out 6 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. How many are we going to sell anyway? We'll put out 1,000, 2,000. And I'm always happy when someone says, call the bookstores, they're out of books. They did not fathom that Klal Yisrael wants over 5,000 copies to prepare for Rosh Hashanah. And we can figure out what Klal Yisrael wants by ArtScroll's book sales. I was recently at the Gouda convention, and a friend of mine, Dr. Avi Michel, spoke, and he was speaking about shalom bayis and marriage and how we don't really have time to put into our marriage and communicating. And his proof was from an ArtScroll book. He said ArtScroll's Dinner Done sold volume 1 over 100,000 copies. And he
Volume
said,
2 as well.
70 or 80, at that time it was 70 or 80,000. He says, what is, he says, I use the book. He says, what is it? He says, I want to make dinner with a tinfoil bake pan. I don't want to have to shop for cumin. I want to have, and throw out the pan and not have to clean anything. And it means over 100,000 people don't have time to make dinner. That's an indication that Klal Yisrael has no time. And to praise Klal Yisrael from the fact that thousands of people went out and bought a sefer, Erev Rosh Chodesh Elul, because they said, hey, I want to use the 30 days before Rosh Hashanah to get ready, that told me that Klal Yisrael wants to get ready.
They made the time.
They made the time. Exactly. They made the time. It wasn't dinner done for Yom Naram. They made the time to prepare. So I said, let's try the same thing for Pesach. So besides this being the Bitachon Haggadah with a daily dose of preparation, we love that term, daily dose, because that way it puts it into bite sizes. And for 30 days beforehand, and you could ask me why 30 days, for 30 days beforehand, you can already start getting ready for the Seder.
Why 30 days?
So what's very interesting is, there's a Meiri that says the reason why we start Rosh Chodesh Elul for Rosh Hashanah is because Shloshim Yom Kodem Achag, 30 days before a holiday, you have to prepare for the holiday. And the source for Shloshim Yom Kodem Achag is Pesach.
Right.
So on Purim, you're supposed to be getting ready for Pesach already. So this is the ultimate daily dose of preparation. You need 30 days. The Chidah's grandfather, Chesel Avram, says that starting from 30 days before that, there's already he says the koach of the sitra achah, the negative force is getting weaker. And we slowly chisel away for those 30 days. So there's something in the air 30 days before Pesach. Now, it's a little bit of a challenge because people are busy cleaning for Pesach and so on. But we have to find the time.
So when somebody needs to take a pause from Pesach cleaning and put their feet up for a second, they shouldn't just sit there and veg. Take it out, and don't just prepare your home. Prepare your heart.
We also have to be, cognizant and aware that many people go away for Pesach. Mm-hmm. So they definitely have the month before. That should be their if you can't prepare cleaning your house, at least prepare for the Seder.
Rabbi Sutton, I'm just understanding a beautiful marketing thing. Let's go to every Pesach program, and they should send all the participants 1 month before the sefer.
That's a great idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
I love that. Okay.
Okay, I'm going to be out of Pesach program for a little bit, so maybe I'll give them the
good
idea.
idea. Great.
I get a commission.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fantastic. So now let's take a moment and understand the importance of preparing for the Seder, but the Seder itself. So I know that you spend a lot of time going through what I think is the important part of the Seder itself. So bring us into what you're preparing for and how the preparation gets you into the right mind space or just the right focus to make your Seder what it's really supposed to be.
So I can't go through an interview without quoting Rav Wolbe, who I gained from greatly. And one of his pet peeves was that we're not fulfilling, forget about the, it's not the, forget about that. What are we supposed to be talking about? And for years, I did this in the Torah Center where I teach, is I always started, it's like a lot of times, you teach anything, you teach Pirkei Avos. You always, the first parak, they always say, let's start from the sixth parak. You always start from the beginning, we never get to the end. So similarly, people get burnt out. They start, okay, we have our Seder, we'll give all the Divrei Torah on Avodah Mayinu. Then we'll go to, okay, Keneged Arba Banim Divrei Torah. He's the Chacham, who's the Rasha. They both say, what's the difference? They're both asking the same question.
And that Gematria guy, the Gematria guy.
Yeah, Kates equals 190. And then we'll go and start talking about all the different, and then when time we get to Tzei Lamad, fast forward.
Say.
That's it.
You're out of here.
Yeah, gone. And it starts to sing the song of Hisham, then great. What is the Seder? So it's based on a pasuk. What's it? V'yigalta lebincha, b'yoymahu leimor, ba'avur zeh, asa Hashem li b'Yetzias Mitzrayim. And the Malbim says this is where the text of the Haggadah was based on. V'yigalta, it's Haggadah. Haggadah, Sipur, the Brisker Rav. No, Haggadah. Then, who are you telling? Lebincha. Which son? There are 4 sons. So we're telling you what to do. There's a thing called Haggadah. This is the manual. It's Haggadah, it's not Sipur, every night, Zecher, right, good. To your son. When? By Yom Ha'u. At night, day, what's the Havamina? Why by, okay, Rosh Chodesh. Right, it's tonight. It's tonight. And then it says, after all that, Lamar, tell the story. So I have a manual that tells you when, to who, and how. And imagine I tell you, why don't you give a speech, and here's the manual. This is what you're supposed to speak about, to whom you're supposed to speak about it, and when. And you get up and you say, okay, let me tell you when I'm supposed to speak about this, to whom I'm supposed to speak about this, and what I'm supposed to say. But you didn't say anything. And that became your speech. The Seder starts, the Rambam says this, it's a Mishnah. The Rambam says, Kol HaMarbe is going on this part of the Seder, which is this 4 psukim in Parshas Kisavo. And we take those 4 psukim and we break them down. And we darshan every line of those psukim. Everything about those psukim. Arami Ovid Avi. And we keep on going down those psukim. We take a pasuk and we break it down and we darshan. What does it mean? That uses a term of Banitzak. Okay, let's go back to Parsha Shmais and tell them what it means. So we're analyzing these 4 psukim. These 4 psukim are the short version, what's those?
Cliff notes.
Cliff notes. Instead of making me read the whole Shmos, the whole Va'era, the whole Vayigash. So you know what? These 4 psukim have everything in it. And I'm going to refer you back to when it happened. But this is the structure. And that's why, for the 30 days beforehand, that's what I did. I took 30 lessons out of these 4 psukim. Average of about 10 lessons per pasuk or so.
And you're the pasuk master, so
I love psukim. I told you that. I love psukim. So everything's in those psukim. And you can now, again, you have 30 days to really get your material ready. If you have to present something, you're selling a product, you want to present it, you put a lot of time in getting ready. You have to sell to your children emunah and bitachon. So now you got, what am I going to say? You got to put in the time and say, this is where it's at. I'm going to understand these psukim. Yad chazaka shnayim. What does that mean? What's going on here? Zu acherev. What cherev?
Where do you even find a sword?
What sword?
Yeah.
Ha'oso ze hamata. What does osos have to do with hamata? And this is where it's at. And,
So practically...
B'msei ma'at. What does misei mean? I asked him, what does Misay mean? I don't know, what's Misay? Misay with Misay Ma'at. What's a Misay?
I saw that. It's beautiful how you explain
What's a
it.
Misay? I don't even know what it is. The Ramah says you have to understand the words you're saying, otherwise it's a story. What does it mean? Forget out the drashas. That's the story. You got to tell the story.
So how do we transition? I think many of us grew up, for whatever the reason is. We were the generation, post-Europe. We came to America, and there was a lot of focus on learning, and therefore we learn Seder night. We ask questions, and chakiras, and Rab Chaim, and this and that. How do you get your mishpacha to understand that, no, that's great. We have 8 days of Pesach to talk about every shtickle Torah, and Hider Mitzvah, and Arba Kaises. But tonight it's about these psukim. And tonight it's about Bitachon. How do we get there?
That's what Shabbos Haggadah is for. That's beforehand. And interesting, I don't know if we mentioned this, we also have a pre and a post.
We didn't talk about it yet, which is so cool.
There's a lesson on Rosh Chodesh Nisan. There's a lesson on Shabbos Haggadah, on B'tikas Chametz. Afterwards, there's post-game show. There's Az Yashir, there's Shir Hashirim, there's Shir Sa'omer. So it'll get you ready before and continue afterwards as well.
That's beautiful. And before I went to tell you this before, but if people are willing to buy a book and prepare for 30 days for Rosh Hashanah for themselves, let's call a spade. What won't we do for our children? That's our life. So it behooves us to prepare. And everyone says that. If you want to have a successful Seder, you need to prepare. And yes, even if stuff goes down at the Seder and your children are your children, and that fairy tale Seder that you thought you were going to prepare, you don't have, but at least you'll have something to go with. Or at least you know what the most important thing of the entire Seder is. So that's great.
And it's important to note that ladies have the equal responsibility for Haggadah to men. There's no difference. They have to understand it. They're responsible, no difference. So for those ladies that like to have daily doses, don't shy away from the Haggadah as if it's a man's job.
At your Seder, you use that approach where you take these 4 psukim and you really try to unpack it?
Yes, 100%.
Beautiful. Okay, can I come to the Suttons for one Seder?
So this is very interesting. Can I come to your Seder? That's a very powerful line. One of my favorite Divrei Torah here is, if you look in the Chachamim that were Mesubim b'Bnei Brak, they're the similar Chachamim that at the end of Masechtas Makos, we all know the story, but Kiva's walking. You saw this one in there?
No, but I know it.
So
Go ahead.
Kiva's walking with Rabbi Yeshua, Gamaliel, and he hears the Romans partying, and they're crying. And he laughs. Why are you crying? The Romans are celebrating like this, and I shouldn't cry. And he says, so why are you laughing? He says, because if this is what happens to those that destroy them, imagine what's going to happen to us. Then they go and they're walking onto Har HaBayis, and they see a fox comes out, and they cry, and he laughs, and again he says, why are you crying? Why are you laughing? And they say, this is the place. And he says, no, there's 2 nevuos. If one will be fulfilled, the other will be fulfilled. Akiva nicham tanu. 2 nechamas for both stories, and nechama means you reframed us. You gave it a different way to look at things. And they said, Rabbi Akiva, where'd you get that power from? Where did it come from? Where does all your emunah bitachon come from? And the answer is the Seder. And they said, we want to spend the Seder with you.
Oh, beautiful.
So that's why they came to Rabbi Akiva's Seder, because that is the generator. And that's why we say, again, I'm not going to go through all the Divrei Torah over here. Why do you bring in Kriya Shema? Again, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Hareini Kidben is Shmuel HaNavi.
52.
What is that? That's like a staple. You must say that by every Seder. Every Rebbe teaches that. What in the world is Yetzias Mitzrayim? I have no idea. So now, in that, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, it gets into, it's talking about regular Kriya Shema. By every night of the year, what's going on over here. And by the way, that pasuk is said by Mantiska Yom Seischa, is said by the Seder night. It's in the Chumash Torah. So what do you bring in Kriya Shema for? What's Pashup Shat? The answer is the tachlis of the Seder is that your Kriya Shema for the whole year is better. Your Anoch Hashem, I'm sorry, Niyashem Seisim Eretz Mitzrayim, of every day of the year, where does it get its energy from? From the Seder night. So therefore, middle of Seder, I want to tell you, you want to know how you know if you did a good job tonight? Let's see how your Kriya Shema sounds tomorrow and the next day. Exactly. Now we're ready for Kriya Shema. We did such a good job now we're ready to test it out. Let's see how our Kriya Shema looks.
And I always thought about this, like, why Kriya Shema Shel Shachris? Because Shachris is the reframe. they came in there, it was after the Churban, they came in with Kriya Shema of Arvis.
Oh,
and they went to Rabbi Kiva, and Rabbi Kiva says, okay, Higiyas ma Kriya Shema shel Shachris, Lagi ba'boker chastecha. That's how I always understood.
They went from emes v'amunah to emes v'yatzef.
Yatzef, correct.
Very nice, beautiful.
And I think that if you walk out of your Seder and you have a sensation of emunah and bitachon, you know that you are a strong link in that chain. Kaska, another interesting question, which I was wondering, do Ashkenazim and Sephardim have a different Haggadah, or it's the same?
No, it's almost identical. There's minor differences. The order of Manishtan is a little different. We say instead of liris es atzmai, laharis es atzmai, to show, it's the Lashon of the Rambam's gear, so not to view yourself, but to show others, to act it out.
Do you walk around and
you put it on your shoulders, and you ask, where you're coming from, where you're going to act it out. But otherwise, it's
and you don't do shir shirim on after the Seder.
We do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we don't do shir shirim on. I think you do it on Shabbos Chol Hamoed.
Right. Oh, that's then you don't. Right, but by the Seder you do.
Yeah.
Okay, so this seems like it's a regular straight up ArtScroll Ashkenaz.
Right. The difference is we only make a bracha on the first and the third cup. You do all 4 cups, but the minor differences. The basic Haggadah is the same.
Okay, because I was looking at this looks like a classic ArtScroll Haggadah on one hand.
It is.
But it's very not typical in terms of the pirush and the approach and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so let's say I buy this, I prepare each day, I come to my Seder. How do I remember like so many beautiful thoughts, divrei Torah? It's just like it's like a crash course, and then you come to the test, and you're like, it all flies away from you.
All right. So the answer really is what I like to do is, my father-in-law, Rabbi Sherman, does this. He has his Haggadah, and he has stick-it notes with little notes that he took. He didn't write it on the side. He puts little stick-it notes, and he has his. And every year, I've gone to his Seder for years. I'm talking about 20 years. Every year I live on East 10th. He lives on East 9th, and we go to his Seder, and it's an inspiration. Here you have Rabbi Nassim Sherman.
I was going to say, you have the editor-in-chief of ArtScroll doing your Seder.
He prepares every year.
Wow.
He doesn't just go into it. He prepares.
He doesn't say the same thing every single year.
No, he prepares. When he goes to somebody else's house, he brings his Haggadah with him. It's not like, okay, I got it.
That's amazing. I think in my own life, I had to start with my parents, with both sides of my grandparents. So there's certain parts of the Messiah that are there, and they got it from their parents. We're Yekis, so we sing a German, like I was singing whatever, this thing Baudem Temple Shir. But each
the Shlach.
Right, it's the Shlach. Each of us has our own little approach, but it all has the same purpose, which is Bitachon.
What's interesting is COVID. I haven't been to my father's Seder for years. COVID, he was in our house. So, doing the Seder, and he asked us, what does Pesach mean? I don't know, what does Pesach mean? It's a jump. No.
How Rashi says?
How Rashi says, right, exactly. Pesach means Rachmanis. And we were like, he was asking a lot, my father's a very analytical person. He was bringing out a lot of things that, like, he was the one that brought us, Misei Ma. What does Misei mean? I have no idea. We took out a Mikros Gedolos, and we what we're saying, what are we saying over here? So that's the...
And what you're saying about Rabbi Sherman and just about, let's say you have a chasna, we prepare so much for our child's wedding, and we do this and we do that, and the hall and the clothing, just so many things of preparation. Why? Because the wedding is so special. I think it's fair to say that the single most important night of the year for the parent-child relationship or the home is Seder night. Doesn't it behoove us to spend a little bit of time and just prepare so that the Seder, to maximize the Seder to the best that it could possibly be? So thank you, Rabbi Sutton, for helping make us a little bit easier, like I said, for giving us the cliff notes on that. Rabbi Sutton, as you're going through the Haggadah and you're preparing for this sefer, do you think that this year your Pesach Seder is going to be different because of all the transformational things that you wrote in here that maybe you didn't know before? Or did you know everything and you just put the Sutton Seder right into here?
No, I definitely did a lot of extra research because you have to fill in blanks. Like you need a thought on Nirtza, you need a thought on this, you need a thought on that. So it definitely pushed me.
Who's thinking by Nirtza?
Right, or just know what the message of each section of the Seder was. That was a push to so you had to fill in every piece. Like you're missing a piece on this, so you don't necessarily have a piece on everything. So
very nice.
That's definitely
beautiful. It should be with so much hatzlacha. I'm looking forward myself to going through this. I'm definitely going to put it on my desk in Hashem and use it. And I hope that the Landau's Seder this year, Hashem, will have not just a daily dose. It'll have an infusion of Bitachon, and keep writing, Rabbi Sutton, because we're using it, we're buying it, we're consuming it, and if they print 1,000 of these, you tell them. Tell them, no, 10,000, 10,000. Because if we're able to do 6,000 for ourselves, imagine what we could do for our kids.
Great.
You should have lots of hatzlacha for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.